Market Peak with Seth and Matt.
It's like minute by minute fluctuations with that.
Well, GameStop is definitely, I mean, Tesla has been slowly just taking over everything. If you look at it, like completely.
I mean,
GameStop's was finally dethroned. It's amazing.
I wonder why.
Wow.
Maybe we should talk about that.
I mean, we might as well. We're recording. Why do you think that is? I mean, obviously Tesla is starting to like find its footing. With everything going on now with this infrastructure bill, it's finally going to start taking off again, which is great because I have a bunch of it. And so I think, yeah. But the question is, does GameStop start to really suffer now that, and if you look, AMC is like, what's that? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 is AMC. I mean, that's crazy. Poor little guy.
It'll rise again.
Well, I have a $16 call on it that expires like April 30th. So if it gets another little jump or whatever and gets some volatility, I should, hopefully better get out of it. I should be all right. It's not a lot.
It'll be the flavor of the week again. I mean, we're seeing some rotation out of small caps, out of energy and banks.
Sure.
Triggered, in my opinion, by, Arceus Capital's meltdown.
Yeah.
But, I think it's a temporary rotation. I think the market is just trying to balance itself out. I mean, you've got all these factors at play here. The 10-year yield trying to top out. And if we see that top out and we see it consolidate in between that 1.5, 1.75 level for, give it a couple weeks, I think the market will just start pumping everything. I really do think that will be the green flag for stocks and small cap stocks and cyclicals, maybe some materials to, just take off again. Sure. You can already see it in the charts, to be honest.
Yeah. That's true.
I think we're winding up for a big move. I think if you look at the major indices,
I think
it's there.
It's just, I completely agree, and I think with everything that's going on, we're going to actually be talking about the infrastructure. I guess, by the way, this is Seth and Matt with Market Peak PEEK, and we are going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. It's Tuesday, March 31st. We're just looking over here at Swaggy stocks, which we generally open up with just to kind of see what's going on with the Wall Street bets community, which is a pretty good litmus test, I think, for what's popular. GameStop. It's just crazy. It's interesting that it's fallen to 3, and Palantir and Tesla have, both gone up. Palantir, would you consider that's kind of infrastructure? That would be considered infrastructure, correct? Would you say?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a tough one. Question. It protects infrastructure, so, to a degree.
I mean, they have such a strong connection to all these federal agencies that, and there are different types of infrastructure.
Sure.
There's transportation infrastructure. There's like social infrastructure.
But there's also networking infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
Sure.
Yeah, networking infrastructure. They're obviously working with the Department of Defense on, some initiatives that, I don't know much about, but all I can tell you is that they're probably on the front lines as far as protecting, the country's network infrastructure is concerned, and gathering that data and finding, good ways to, utilize and implement that data.
So one of the reasons they went up so much today was because apparently, so they had done some work for a British entity. I didn't get too much into it, but there was a group that actually filed a lawsuit against the government using this entity because it's American, they're linked to the CIA. And then apparently that, I think it was just today, that lawsuit was kind of considered like done with, like both sides kind of came to an agreement. Bless you. And so there's a reason why it's starting to go up. I think which is great, because if we actually jump into my little portfolio here, you can see I do have a $31 call that expires on the 23rd of April. So hoping it does well. It hasn't been doing great recently, but now that everything's starting to move up, and then you can see the fuel cell calls. And I had mentioned to you earlier, I don't know how, but I managed to get this one for what was it? I got it for 19 cents, a 2150 fuel cell call. And with the way things went today, I have quite a bit of time until it expires, and then I still have this 2250. It also expires until April 23rd. So I have plenty of times if things start moving forward and Biden says renewable energy or hydrogen one more time, dude, like bring it on. You know, we'll see if it pans out that way.
I didn't get to watch the speech. Was it good?
It was good. It was like 35 minutes. From a what he was giving us and what he was telling us aspect, great. From a presidential, just having your shit together, you know, it was, you know, you had to look at his notes once, and which is fine. Like whatever. I'm not faulting him for it. He just didn't have like that just like presidential grasp of what he was saying. And I like Biden. I got nothing
That's a good way to
against
put
him.
it. I agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's fine. I'm sure he's really nervous. It's only his second like major thing, and you know, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure he's got a lot going on trying to get this stuff to go through. And then lastly, which is great because we're going to talk about this pretty shortly, QuantumScape. So QuantumScape, $55 call that expires in May. And I got this one, actually May 21st. I got this one back when QuantumScape was not doing so well. And then all of a sudden today, as you can see, QuantumScape actually decided to really, really kick some butt today. So they ended up going like 15% in post. They're about 1.5% today. And the reason why is QuantumScape meets Volkswagen technical milestone, clearing the way for a $100 million investment. So Volkswagen is like, we're going to invest $200 million. And the second $100 million is a situation where they're like, we just want to be your battery to be at this, whatever the metric was. Volkswagen took the battery or took whatever device or whatever representation of what they wanted QuantumScape to give them, took it back to their labs, did the testing, like, yep, it meets our standards, boom, 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 here's your $100 million. So I love it because that call is about to start printing really, really soon. Like I said, we're up about 15% in posts. So right now, QuantumScape ended at 51.30. So we're not that far away. So if, let's say tomorrow, QuantumScape opens up like 15% right at the gate, volatility spikes. The volatility is not that high, what it's showing me here. And the reason why is because we have to wait until tomorrow morning. I'm not going to get an accurate look now. But what would you say, like, based on what you know about, obviously, chances are you're going to tell me to sell. But what do you think would be?
Well, the only reason I would tell you to sell in this case, how much time do you have left on the contract?
It's May 20.
Yeah,
I told May. I have 2 months.
Okay. So the market's closed on Friday.
Yep.
And normally on shortened trading weeks, you get a little bit of volatility.
Oh, that's right. Tomorrow's it.
Thursday.
Tomorrow's Friday. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So that's why, I mean,
okay.
The market sometimes, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
You just don't want to get caught in, you know, a little end of the day before, you know, the holiday weekend dump.
Sure. And that's the thing, because I was expecting tomorrow to be a regular Thursday because then we had Friday for the dump. But that makes sense. Yeah. And one of the pieces of advice you gave me a while back, which I would have listened to at the time, this is when I had a sundial call that was literally like, dude, it was like 300% gain and I didn't sell. You're like, if you really think it's going to keep going up, sell it and then buy another call. So, which is
roll into like a cheaper contract, like pocket some of that. Well, I believe the reason you couldn't bank that.
Yeah, it's because I had to take my daughter to the doctor.
You ignored the market.
I wasn't looking at my phone at 9:30. So. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there was that.
Sure, we'll let that go.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
Okay, it's at 51.30 right now. So let's say it opens up, let's say it's opening up tomorrow like 10%. That would put it in the money technically. Volatility was at like 120. I feel like tomorrow it's going to be really, really big. I think chances are good that this could go on a little bit of a run as well. So I told myself I'm going to make a plan, but tomorrow I'm not going to make a plan because I don't know what's going to happen. But I will say if it has like a 30% spike right at the open, definitely going to sell because then it's definitely going to dump 100%. So I'll put this spike. Let's do this. I'll put the spike at like I'm going to say, what do you think? 20%? If it's a 20% spike at the open, sell it? Because it closed at 14 or 25.
If you're up 15 to 20% pre-market, yeah, I
sell.
Pull the trigger as soon as possible.
All right, sounds good. Because if it dumps, then I'll be able to get it kind of on the way down. Of course, volatility is going to be out the freaking wazoo, but that's all right. We can deal with that. All right. By the way, we're not financial advisors. None of this is official advice. Please do your research or D-squared, and all that stuff. Consult your professionals. We're going to be talking about VUZI, the AR glass company. It's going to be our stock feature of the week. It's really interesting what they have going on. It doesn't fall into the infrastructure. So today it actually took a little bit of a hit in post, but it's a solid company from what we could tell. I actually looked up some of the competitors, which I'll be able to talk about. Matt's going to have his 3 charts. And as always, we're going to make our own predictions. So please leave us a comment with your thoughts. If you like what you see so far, please subscribe all the way over there. Go ahead and like it. If you want to wait a little bit, it's cool. We get it. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and jump into the infrastructure bill. So President Biden unveils his $2 trillion infrastructure plan. It says here the details, actually $2.3 trillion one. So we actually have some of the details here. I also watched his speech. In addition to that, very, very, it was cool. We just talked about it. So I actually have some of the details from that. But you did have some numbers on where some of the money is being spent, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 3 figures kind of helps break down where this infrastructure money is going.
Sure.
$621 billion directly to transportation.
Okay.
Roads, bridges, highways, etc.
Sure. 620, you said? 620. Okay.
$300 billion to renovating housing and schools.
Okay.
And $580 billion is going to go towards manufacturing, research and development, jobs training.
Sure.
And there's definitely kind of a theme of clean energy.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Surrounding that figure. So that's kind of like a basic breakdown.
Okay.
There's some other money going towards drinking water infrastructure.
Yep.
So a lot of cities need to upgrade. There's sewage lines.
Lead
a lot of
pipes.
them are still working with,
sure,
or terracotta clay pipes in some cases.
Yeah. Oh, dude. No. I didn't even think about that. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So he calls it the American Jobs Plan. And this is just I just have some bullet points here and I'll go over a few of them. We'll chat about them real fast. Yes, he wants to modernize transportation, rail, airport, roads, bridges. He said he wants to fix 10,000 bridges. Then there's 10 major bridges that he said about replacing, which means I don't know if they really want to replace them or fix them up. But he said there's like 10 major bridges that are have the most traffic that need to be dealt with. And in addition to new transit and rail lines, hopefully because he did mention, high speed rail, which would be great. I think if you could, I know they were thinking about, if not moving forward with something between San Francisco and LA, but if you could do something with high speed rail, that would be pretty amazing. So, yeah. All this is going to just help with construction, please.
Yeah, exactly. Shovel-ready jobs. We saw this before with President Obama with his American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. That was about $1 trillion. That was a bill that was meant to kind of bring jobs back into the economy, shovel-ready jobs.
Yep.
A lot of construction jobs are higher paying than you would think. You want a lot of projects that are long duration, like bridges, buildings, steel infrastructure is great too.
Sure.
You get a lot of union participation with that kind of work. And anything above ground you could point to and say, you as a governor, as a senator who's helped support the bill, see what we did?
Yeah. See how many jobs we created?
Yeah.
See how much money we pumped into the economy? Because here's the thing, this money is going to go out there and there's going to be, it happens every time. There's going to be a battle. Which projects are most important? Where's the money going to go? And I can't guarantee you, but I would imagine the senators that did the most complaining probably going to fall to the bottom of list where it comes to, obviously necessity is a necessity, But stuff that's on the fence, that you might not get what you want. What are the chances? Actually, let's finish this and then we'll get into the chance of it actually passing and stuff like that. So clean electric cars and trucks. So 500,000 charging stations. That's massive. So ChargePoint, which was Switchback Energy, it was, a reverse merger. And so, they actually had a 15% increase today. I think another 3%. I know 18% and then another 3% on post. So they're up more than 20% today because that's basically what they do. So I had money in there. I got it out. It was getting demolished. And even if I held on to it, I'd probably still be down. But it's good for them. Point of sale rebates for clean vehicles. So obviously rebates for buying these cars, which is a great incentive. Hydrogen vehicles for the government. He's like, the government has a lot of vehicles and we want them all to be electric or hydrogen. As soon as you said hydrogen, I was like, hell yeah, man. Go ahead. Fuel cell, which I have the 2 calls on. I have it in my IRA. And then, of course, plug, right? So that's freaking pretty awesome as well.
Forklifts.
Yeah, forklifts. Yep.
We're going to need them.
Yeah. All right. So plug, they have the small hydrogen cells, specialize in the small hydrogen cells for like forklifts and eventually cars. And then fuel cell, they have the big plants that take a lot of hydrogen or can actually make the hydrogen and actually reduce the emissions from coal plants because they can take the refuge or they can take the polluting air straight into their factory and, turn into hydrogen and compress the carbon and do away with that as well. So it's a win-win situation there. Pipe replacement, you mentioned it. Flint, Michigan, maybe they'll get their stuff fixed finally once and for all. But one of the biggest issues he mentioned is lead pipes that are still out there that's dangerous. He wants to replace 100% of the lead pipes. I don't know if there's any plumbing stocks out there or there's got to be something connected to that. But plumbers are about to get paid.
Yeah, builders, you want to look at companies like Caterpillar, equipment providers.
Sure.
Those are good cyclical plays.
John Deere.
I think in this case. John Deere, United Rentals.
Yep.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
High-speed internet, that's another one. He's like, he was like, we invented the internet and we suck at it compared to some of the other countries. So he's like, I want high-speed internet everywhere. I want internet to be cheaper. He's like, we pay way too much for internet here in this country, which I agree because where I live, I'm capped at 5 megabytes per second upload. Can you imagine 5 upload? I'm capped where I am. I live in Miami Beach. It's ridiculous. When I upload one of these videos, it takes for freaking ever. So, and then battery technology, which is great. As soon as he said that, I was excited for that because obviously QuantumScape, and then it's a big push on clean energy. So overall, I think it's great. Detractors don't like that we're spending so much money, but he has ways to pay for it. Which makes it okay. Let's do it. So
I think they're looking at hiking the corporate tax rate up to 28% from 21%.
Yep.
We'll see if that actually unfolds. It's good that they have a plan to kind of offset some of this spending.
So he was talking about there'll be no tax hikes if you make less than $400,000 a year. He was talking about how teacher pays 22% federal tax. And then, like Amazon pays 0. That was one of the references he made. Yes, corporate tax up to 28%. He wants to penalize corporations for leaving the country. He's like, you shouldn't be able to leave the country and pay less tax. And that's something that Donald Trump wanted to do. I don't know, maybe he talks about it. I don't think he ever got anything done there. I could be wrong.
It's a huge loophole.
It is.
I mean, offshoring.
It is.
As a way to, shelter yourself from higher taxes.
Especially, we talked about it on Because We Said So, our other show. And we talked about how, as an American, if I want to go work in France, I'm still going to pay taxes in America for the money I make in France. So the fact that, the individual, the teacher in this scenario has to pay a percentage and then these big corporations don't. I think he's right. How do you argue with that? Whether you're pro-Trump, whether you're pro-Biden, a lot of stuff that Trump did that I loved, a lot of stuff he did that I didn't. Biden, it's new. We'll see what happens. But you got to agree with the fact that there's definitely something messed up here. So corporate tax going up isn't going to change too much, I don't think. He's
going to try and close the wealth gap.
Sure. Which you should.
That's going to take a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's going to take like a kind of fundamental revisioning of how we view, our middle class and how we approach jobs creation.
Yeah.
Are we going to stick with, supply side economics, concentrate on all the money at the top and hope it trickles down? Or are we going to focus more on the demand side, put money into the pockets of working class people who are more likely to go and spend it, inject it into the local economy
100%.
and provide that quick turnaround?
They've done studies like worldwide and even within the confines of our own country. The GDP of a country is strongest when the wealth gap is the smallest. When you have everybody who's doing well, like, back in the 50s and 60s in this country where you had manufacturing jobs and everyone was doing really well and you didn't have these like massive companies coming out of nowhere and just gobbling everything up. Like that was when the GDP was the strongest. And then one of the things, I hate to use China as an example, but one of the things they're doing, and granted, they're doing it forcefully, so I don't condone it at all. They're moving people away from these smaller communities, moving them into the cities, saying, here, this is your life now. They're trying to completely just get rid of that class altogether, which isn't right. That's what they're doing. In fact, the Uyghurs, the Muslims that we talk about in the other show, they're kind of tied up in this as well. A lot of the people that live in that province are being moved into that province in this way. And this is way out in like West China. We're getting off topic here. But at the end of the day, having that small wealth gap is really when the country or an entity is going to be the strongest overall. So,
well, I mean, it does relate. Like we should talk about China because China is who we're competing against right now. China is at the forefront of every single, budget resolution, every single major piece of legislation, because we have to compete with them.
Sure.
They have, they don't have things like minimum wage laws, workers' rights. They're starting to, but, and our companies have to compete with that. So we have to create, a business-friendly environment when and where we can for our companies so that we can attract more business here. That being said, I think you're right in the sense that, I think we might be seeing late-stage capitalism here. We might have to kind of pivot towards a more distributive approach to how we allocate like taxpayer dollars and that kind of thing. I think we need to kind of just level the playing field a little bit and make sure that we have a broader band of middle class taxpayers with enough money to spend and
pay their bills at the same time. Absolutely, I agree. We'll see what happens. That's for sure. So a couple other little things. So he's expecting 6% growth this year. Not he is, but he said one of the economists that he had spoken to or published or whatever, expecting 6% growth this year for us, which is great. That's in the lines of what you expect China to do. So awesome with that. And then what we put into research and development as a country was 2% back in the day, and now it's less than 1%. Which is one of the things that made, and still makes America so great, is the technological advances. And he used this, going up into space and all the stuff that we got as a country and products and industries and stuff like that. So I think it's great that he's doing that because I'm a huge science dork. I love science, which is why I'm into this whole clean energy and stuff like that because it is all very sciencey. But that was, just a couple other things as well. All right, so before we move forward, once again, please don't forget to spank the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to jump into our stock feature, which is VUZI. And this is something that kind of fell into the radar. It was actually on Swaggy stocks for a little bit of time, but we looked into it and thought it was really, really cool. Essentially, just a couple quick little facts, then Matthew will tell you a little bit more about it. It's founded by CEO Paul Travers in 1997, augmented reality. So basically what Google Glass was trying to do, you get projections that are put on glass in front of you so you can interact with what's going on in the world as well as whoever could be, on the other side of the Google Glass. So please go for it, dude.
So the basic premise here is that we're going to transition away from smartphones and towards smart glasses, augmented reality technology that pretty much enables you to utilize the exact same features, the exact same user interface in a cell phone, except in a display.
Sure.
In a continuous display. So that has a lot of advantages. We're going to see how the price shakes out. I'm not sure right now if they're planning on, kind of like offering this at a premium price point, or whether or not they're kind
prices
of
are already out. Prices are already out. Yeah, on the website, I'll pull a couple of them up.
Well, they're looking at right now scaling to eventually, kind of delivering this product wholesale to retail users. But right now, the prices you're looking for, the products you're looking for, are mainly being used as like enterprise solutions. Sure. So companies are buying them. Medical companies, medical device companies are buying them. The surgeon offices are buying them. There's a lot of practical use. There's going to be a lot of use in construction. You'll be able to survey remotely. So like we're just now kind of exploring the use cases. But yeah, they're my guess is they won't be super cheap. But the reason why we're talking about VUZI is because their main competitor, Apple, right now is going to be offering a premium line. And this, in my view, is going to kind of be that secondary competitor.
Sure.
More maybe like affordable. It'll come in at a more accessible price point for the average person.
Sure.
So that's kind of like the space I see them falling into right now. We're still a few years away from wide-scale adoption, AR adoption, obviously. But like I said, right now they're in business deals with a lot of Fortune 100 companies. Over 40, I believe, right now are implementing the VUZI proprietary technology. And once this does scale, once you do see wide-scale adoption, I do think the price is going to see a lot of movement. And I do think this is not only a good long duration play, but a good play for those who are kind of looking at the options market, looking for good hot opportunities. We had a double-digit move today.
Yep.
We've had a lot of peak and declines. So there's action here. There's good long-term prospects, and I'm really interested to see where this one goes.
Yeah, it ended up about 13% up, combining market and then post-market after hours. So 100 employees, which is interesting. Actually, let me do this. So the VUZI Blade upgraded smart glass. So this one's actually $799, $800 right now. So this is like the base model. And then you can see here they have the M series, which goes up. This is actually $2,500. But what I find interesting about this is think about like training on the job. You don't even have to have like a trainer there. You could literally have like, a trainer in another country, whatever. He sees what you see. He's able to interact the way you are. And you could literally just be learning anything. I kind of Trinity the Matrix, like learn to fly the freaking, the helicopter.
Download the program.
Yeah. I mean, it's not there, but just a similar situation where they could like just put it right there in front of you. I just find that really, really fascinating. So, and then you said ARC. I mean, you'd mentioned ARC. They have 349,000 shares that they purchased on the 16th of March. And they own 1.7 million shares total, which is great. And I found this site called craft.co, and you can look up company competitors of a company. So these are the competitors. You got VUZI, Third Eye Gen, Microvision, VRT, and Manus VR. You can see this founding date, whatever, but here's some of the stuff that's important for me anyway. So 90 employees, you can see Third Eye Gen has 23, 30 for this one, VRT has 4, and Manus VR has 45. But you can see Manus VR is a 22% decrease in employees, 72% from Microvision. So VUZI is actually up 10%, and then you can see Third Eye Gen is up 5%. Another really important one here, employee rating. So these are the people that actually rated the company. So Microvision is 2.7 out of 5, VRT 3.8, Third Eye Gen 3.8, but VUZI is a 4.6. So obviously the employees love working there. They obviously love the company, probably have a lot of faith in it as well. So just look at some of the competitors. If you look at like some of the underlying things, it definitely seems like it would be a smarter play in that regard. And yeah, right now it's trading at 26.44. You said the all-time high was 26. So it's doing pretty pretty well. Let me go here. And if I go back to the all, you can see it was pretty flat for the longest time, hovering around like $2 to $8 all the way back to 2011. But more recently, pretty much this year, it's finally gotten some traction and started to do really well. Nice, healthy climb, which is something that Matthew loves to see, is that healthy rise. So,
yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Any other thoughts?
I mean, so you can either have a scattershot approach towards investing in emerging technologies, or you can actively pick stocks. I prefer to actively pick stocks because then you're kind of more, you have more skin in the game.
Sure.
You've done some research. You're more likely to kind of stay in tune with the day-to-day, fluctuations of price. You're going to keep your ear to the ground as far as like news announcements are concerned. And you just learn more.
Sure.
So I think VUZI should definitely be in that basket of emerging technology stocks that you plan on, keeping money in for the long term. But like we said, it's also a good pick for someone looking for, a swing trade, a day trade even, because it's giving us that good price action. There's wide ranges.
Big time.
And the technology is really cool.
And they look good, they look cool. Like you don't look like a dork wearing them.
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to mention. Sorry, I'm a little down under the weather today, but one of their big angles is that they want to produce augmented reality technology, wearables that you actually want to wear.
Sure.
Right. So I don't know if you ever used Google Glass, but
I didn't.
It's a whole headset, and you can't walk around with that.
Yeah. Well, people were getting pissed. Like people in New York, were just like punching people in the face for wearing them. It's like, you dork, you're filming me and blah, blah, blah. Like it was ridiculous. But that's the thing. Like they have to look good if you expect the average consumer to buy into these, for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I guess with that, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, 3 charts with Matt. So we'll go ahead and start with the VIX, which is something that we utilize quite a bit here. It's our house chart for those of you new to the show. And we'll go to line, and we'll get
staying below 20.
We'll get out the month. It is staying below 20, which is pretty awesome so far.
Yeah.
Monday was awful. Like Monday was just absolutely awful. Here, actually, let me do the 5-day. So Monday was absolutely awful, but still staying under 20, 19.4 right now.
You have a lot of institutional investors short VIX products right now, and long the stock market.
Sure.
And, that's just the trend we're in right now. The trend is your friend until the end. We like to look at the VIX because it's kind of like that leading indicator as far as sentiment is concerned.
Sure.
And it's really just been kind of stuck in this pattern of, we'll get one monthly spike and then that spike will get crushed.
Sure. And it's happened.
The stock market just continues grinding higher.
Sure.
So it seems like a healthy year chart to me. If you look at the VIX, obviously we had a big surprise during the COVID crash, but other than that, I think the powers that be, including the Federal Reserve, have done a good job of tamping down volatility.
Yeah, I'll say.
It's still high relative to where we were, over a year ago, when we were down in, like the 10, 11 area.
Yeah.
And we'll get there again.
9.1.
Yeah, 9.
Good Lord.
9. We'll get there again.
Cool.
But the point is, I think we're going to get a third stimulus bill, actually, this year.
Okay. We'll see. One at a time, folks. All right. So the U.S. dollar. So the DXY index here, 93.19 today. It closed out.
Yeah. So it looks like we're getting a healthy bounce in the dollar right now. It was getting crushed there for a while as the economy reopened and people kind of rotated into other assets. Obviously, you're going to get more yield via the stock market, even via corporate debt. We're also running big deficits right now, so that's going to kind of dilute the buying power of the dollar, weaken it against a basket of other currencies. The reason why I'm looking at the dollar right now is because I'm seeing how it fares with some of these technical levels right now. And I'm seeing if we start breaking above like that 93, 94 area and start closing weekly candles above that, I would expect the dollar to go higher. And if the dollar does start going higher, that's typically a negative for multinationals who sell their products in dollars. To buy U.S. stocks,
Sure.
you have to have dollars.
Yeah.
And the stronger the dollar, you can buy more stocks, but you're going to have a harder time selling your products. And that's going to make your competitors, right, who are selling products in their own sovereign currencies, more competitive. It's going to make them stronger.
I gotcha.
So, some macro, economists right now are wondering or musing whether or not the dollar is going to become this wrecking ball that finally kind of mean reverts the stock market back down to reality. I don't think so, because at the end of the day, if you look at the dollar chart from like a 5-year standpoint,
Yep.
it doesn't look healthy. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think we're kind of testing the limits here of our currency. I think we're seeing how much we can spend before we get inflation.
Sure.
But on the other side of that, I don't think we're going to get a lot of inflation, because the pace at which technology makes things cheaper, is outpaces, in this case, I think, inflation.
Yeah.
And we would have already. So once people start spending money and bringing dollars into the market, and that supply increases, the dollar should be weakening a lot.
Sure.
Right. It has weakened, but it's
Not
basing
much.
out, and it's going higher right now.
Yeah, it's going back up.
So, I mean, and it's the world's reserve currency. 50% of all global trades invoiced in dollars. Commodities are all traded in dollars. If you want to buy oil, if you want to buy gold, materials, copper, you have to have dollars. There are trillions and trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of dollar-denominated debt out there. If some of those countries, say, default on their dollar obligations, that removes supply and the dollar goes higher. So we're kind of in like this sweet spot, maybe.
Sure.
And this is driving a lot of mainstream economists crazy. A lot of smart people are scratching their heads and thinking, "What the heck is going on? We can't keep spending this money." But we have been, and it's
so far so good.
The economy afloat right now.
So far so good.
So.
All right, so the last one, Tesla. So we had to talk about this one. It's definitely one of our favorites. I'm a big fan. I've got it in my IRA. I actually have traded this up and down a couple times. 667.93, up 5.08%. I think it's down 0.69 in post. So I got the year out here, so please go for it. God, the year, man, unbelievable.
I know. I think we'll be at 2,000 by year end.
Sure.
Personally.
Yeah, and this takes into, for those watching, sorry to intercede, those watching, this takes into account the split. It was actually like 350, not 89 or 95 or whatever. So anyway, please.
Yeah. So the reason why I like thinking and talking about Tesla is because it kind of is emblematic of the economy right now and what America has to offer. We're a technology-driven economy right now. We're the only place in the world where you can afford to buy technology that doesn't even exist, won't even exist in other countries right now.
Sure.
And that's, increasing, the effectiveness of education, that's increasing the productivity of our businesses, that's just improving the quality of life for a lot of people. And just bringing new solutions to the marketplace that weren't there previously. And that, I think, in a nutshell, is the reason why the stock market's so high.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that Tesla isn't as profitable as the share price might indicate. But the share price is there for a reason, and people have faith in it, including the S&P, for a reason.
Sure.
And it just keeps growing. Yeah. And, there's something there. It's like I said, it's, if I were to choose one company that I think encapsulates, Americanism and what we stand for in this economy, it would be absolutely Tesla. Yeah. Innovation, reach for the stars, literally. And I remember you talking about SpaceX like 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure. Yeah. 100%.
Telling me keep me updated about all these launches and everything like that. And
God, I wish he would go public with that. He'll never do it, which I understand, but it would be so nice.
You don't think he will?
Nah, he doesn't need the oversight. and people telling him what to do. Tweet whatever the hell I want about my company and not have to worry about the SEC and all these other people. Screw that.
Let him do whatever the heck he wants, please.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. The guy wants to smoke a joint on the fucking podcast. His stock shouldn't drop to more affordable levels, let's be honest. He probably did it himself. He's like, let me just smoke. You guys want to buy some shares? Hold up. I'll be right back on there. And then, boom, it just drops. So, all right. Well, I mean, from here, actually, let me go to the 1 month on this. Because, I mean, it's been pretty tumultuous. But ever since, obviously today, you can see with the announcement of what's going on, it was already going up. But I think the shift to EV is really, really going to help push this stock even further. Same thing with ChargePoint. Once again, 500,000 new charging stations Biden's talking about. So, all right. So Friday. So the VIX, man, what do you think? Sub 20?
By Friday, I honestly think we kind of maybe close slightly above 20. But I accidentally, well, give me a second here. I think it heads lower going into options expiration.
Sure. Okay.
I think the market continues grinding higher for the next 2 weeks. So many people are freaked out.
I said Friday. It's actually tomorrow. So you're probably right. Yeah. It probably will be up tomorrow. Okay. I'm with you on that.
Just a hair,
sure,
maybe.
Sure.
I mean,
it won't take much.
I'm looking at small caps though right now, to be honest. I'm looking at that rally, and I'm seeing it looks like they're trying to form a new higher low, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were back to new all-time highs or close to it.
Sure.
By April 16th.
Okay.
Which is options expiration.
All right, we'll see.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
So here's the thing. So what do you think? QuantumScape tomorrow, up or down? That's an interesting one.
What were we aftermarket?
So aftermarket, all right, I'll give you the whole skinny. So
that's cheating.
What's that? No, it's okay. I mean, you got to take an educated guess here. So aftermarket was up 14.64. So it closed at 44.75, and then aftermarket is at 51.30. It's a tough one because it's a Thursday, but technically it's a Friday. I feel like it's up.
It's definitely going to open
up. Yeah.
Up. By how much? Normally, like the second day of a double-digit rally, you'll see a spike and then a sell-off.
Sure.
And then it'll kind of creep higher.
Yeah, which is what I'm hoping for, because I'll buy back in with another call.
Yeah. Oh, if it spikes, if it goes down 10 to 15%, say by like 10 o'clock, which is the typical pattern.
Sure.
Tesla does this. Tesla is notorious for doing this. Yeah, I think that would be a viable dip. Absolutely.
For sure.
Because here's the thing, like psychologically speaking, most people, after they see a 10% drop, even after, a 30% run up, they get scared.
Yeah.
And they say,
I'm gonna miss it.
Okay, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to get trapped this time.
Sure.
But then they miss it.
Yeah. That's fine.
All
right. Well,
you got to have conviction.
Fuel Cell, QuantumScape. Hope you guys are all up. Hoping tomorrow is just an average day and not a downer. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah, actually, tomorrow, Thursday, being a weird Thursday, markets up or down? We're mixed. What do you think?
I think we close up.
Close up?
Absolutely.
All right. We like it.
Absolutely, man.
All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. So leave us a comments with your thoughts. If you watched all the way through, really, really appreciate it. Our total viewing time is going up. Also, the amount of people who are watching that are subscribers is slowly creeping up, which we really appreciate. So those of you who subscribe and you keep watching, thank you. I'm sure a lot of them are shrimpers, and that's okay too. We like that. So we'll see. If we don't talk about shrimp, if this one dips, we'll know why. But either way,
I'm telling everyone at work about shrimp, and they're getting excited about it too. Actually.
Oh, really? You've been telling them?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Good. Do they watch the show?
Not yet. Not yet. I haven't told them about the cast yet.
Sure. I get it.
But they went out and bought some.
That's cool. Hell yeah. So comments with your thoughts, anything like that. If you want to email us, we are marketpeak@gmail.com. And check out our other show, Because We Said So. It's a pretty awesome show. I'll actually pull it up for you real fast. So it's
what are you doing on this week's show?
So the one I'm posting out tomorrow, we're talking about a couple things. One of the main things that we're actually talking about is looking for childcare, which is kind of funny because I had to go through that, which is really, really interesting and funny. We're also talking about the fact that there was a really, the boat finally got freed. Ripped jeans is causing a big problem in India for some unknown reason, which is crazy. For sure. Yeah, for sure. And actually a friend of mine has a really awesome kimchi recipe. So he brought some kimchi over. We tried it. We tasted it, which is really cool as well. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, this show's a little bit more macro. We talk about a lot of stuff going on in the world. As you can see, we got the video. If you just like to listen, you can listen as well. This one's just video. This show, Market Peak. You can see all our... And you can get to Market Peak from the website over here as well. So, all right, folks, really appreciate it. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for watching, and boom.